Hello, and welcome to What's Your Story? Thank you for joining us today. We have a very interesting guest, very different from many of the guests that we have, but one I know you're going to want to hear from. His name is Steve Selengut, and he is a 40-year professional investment manager, advisor, and he's got some letters after his name, RIA and IAR, which we're going to ask him about in a minute. But his current adventure is coaching both individuals and other advisors in creating income independence for themselves and their clients. He was a private investment manager for 44 years, over $110 million, one of the very few investment book authors who has directly managed other people's money. So, welcome, Steve. Glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Judy. That was very nice. And
Oh,
I'm
we're,
happy to be with you.
we're so glad. What part of the country are you in? Where are you?
I'm just south of Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, you're in South Carolina. How's everything back there? Are you guys okay?
Oh, yeah. Actually, this last storm was a little different than others. Didn't really impact the people on the coast nearly as much as it impacted the people inland.
Oh, goodness.
So we didn't have any damage at all, but
Oh, that's
upstate
good to hear.
upstate had some flooding and things like
Um,
that with
I'm
rivers.
sorry to hear that. I hope everything gets back to normal soon.
Yeah, we hope so.
So tell me, what is the goal of income independence?
Well, income independence is really a state where you have enough income being produced, let's say, by your investment portfolios plus Social Security, pension, blah, 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 to do whatever you want to do without digging into the principal of your investment portfolio, without having to sell anything to pay for that vacation and stuff like that. So that's really where I feel people in my age group anyway really want to be or need to be
Yes,
to enjoy those final or
but if they haven't thought about it when they're earlier, isn't it a little late to be thinking about it now?
it is certainly rough to start now. However, many people are in a position where it's within their grasp. They just don't have the right securities, the right types of securities in their investment portfolios to achieve it. I mean, I've seen many very large, certainly large enough portfolios to produce income independence, but they're tossing out only 2% or less than 3% income. So consequently, they're forced to take that trip, let's say, to see that the real Eiffel Tower in your background. To see it, they're going to have to sell some securities to pay for that. For the expense of doing that. In my way of running portfolios and in teaching people how to run their portfolios, that wouldn't be the case because they'd be able to use that money and generate three times as much as the numbers I mentioned,
Mm, mm.
and not with a great deal of difficulty, with probably significantly, you're not going to believe this, with significantly less risk than they now have in their portfolio. And when you look inside of the securities, they'll see that they're pretty much own the same thing, only
Interesting.
in a different package, a package that's designed to produce income instead of growth in market value.
Mm. What are the four great financial risk minimizers?
Things that people can do. First of all, you have to know the difference between financial risk and market risk. Most people you hear talking about investments and they talk about the stock market and it's going down and that's bad and it's going up, so that's good. And you know they talk about the prices of securities going down and they're risky because their prices go down, which isn't really true. That's market risk, and the market risk is really um, that's the natural habitat of the stock market. I mean, that's what prices, that's what they do in any market. Think of what a market is. It's a place where people come together to bargain, to exchange goods and services.
Yes.
And and there's a bidding and an asking going on. So prices are going to vary depending on supply and demand, and that's the natural order of things. Um, but most of Wall Street, most financial advisors are focused on that market value number, um, and not only because it's the way they've been taught, but it's also the way they get paid. They get paid on the amount of market value, not on the amount of income that their clients' portfolios produce. So when I talk about, and then the other risk is financial risk. That's the risk of actually losing money on something that you go out and buy Amazon and for some reason or other it goes out of business tomorrow. I know that's not a likely.
That's not
Let's
likely.
call a new producer of drugs just coming on the market, a new guy, and they've got to put all this money into research, and they haven't made a profit, and never made a profit. There's a real financial risk in buying stock in that company, hoping that this drug is going to first be proved and be found useful and actually do its job, and make this company another Pfizer in the future. The financial risk is that they'll fail and go out of business, and the shareholders will have nothing. That's financial risk. Risk minimization is thinking about financial risk, not about any other kind of risk. And there's four ways to reduce or um, keep yourself from taking an undue amount of financial risk. And the first one is the quality of the things you invest in. And you have to develop measures of how to determine quality. And I go to great lengths of doing that in my book, Retirement Money Secrets. I dwell on it a lot because just like they say at Ford, quality is job one. Quality is job one in investing also. And you look at things like the age of the company or the business that you're looking at, how diversified its product line is. It's not a buggy whip manufacturer, so to speak. Um, does it pay a dividend? It's got to make money to be paying dividends to its shareholders. Things of that nature determine the quality. So you have to establish a certain level that you're willing to accept. I never buy anything that doesn't pay a dividend. I never have. Um, in the funds that I use with my clients, and now with my coaching clients, um, they have to have been around for 5 years. They have to have at least um, 50 different securities inside the fund so that they're well diversified themselves, and so on. The second one is the second financial risk minimizer is diversification. And I think everybody pretty much knows what that is. That's the old not all your eggs in one basket type principle, where you try to have different types of products, different types of companies, manufacturing, service industries, healthcare. So many, there are at least 11, 12, maybe 15 different sectors of types of stocks. And the same thing exists in the fixed income area of investing, like mortgages and corporate loans and government loans, municipal loans, um, stuff like that. So diversification is very important. You never want to have more than 5% of your overall portfolio in any one security. That's just a standard rule. In my coaching and in my securities, my own personal securities, I don't have anything that's even 2%. So that you can sleep nights not worrying about that one company, that one we talked about before, going bankrupt.
Yeah.
The third risk minimizer is the income it produces. If it produces income, it's got to be successful. It's got to be profitable to continually, over a long period of time, pay dividends and distributions. That's extremely important. And particularly as you are thinking of retirement, or even when you're just getting started, income is a very important feature, because if you have income, you can take advantage of opportunities that arise in the market. If you don't have income, you just watch. You know, the final one really is the one that most people uh, totally ignore and forget about, and that's profit taking. Unlike every other business, even like the business they themselves own when they're investing, profits, the bottom line, profitability is the most important thing. That's what makes their prices go up or down, and they don't they don't they're not there to see the inventory in their on their shelves go up in market value. They're there to turn that inventory over to customers as they come into the store. Um, the stock market is the only place where they say just set it and forget it. Just buy it and don't even think about it. Someday it'll be enough so that you can start selling little bits at a time to do what you want to do. I go just the opposite way. I don't want to see my profits disappear every time the market goes down. I don't want to see that happen. I'm going to take my profits and increase the capital that I have that's producing more income. So I'm going to grow my income every quarter, every year, and so on. So those are the four risk minimizers.
You briefly mentioned a minute ago your book. Tell us about your book.
Oh, okay. The
Is
book is
this
called.
a new book?
It's my new book. Yeah, the new book is Retirement Money Secrets, and it
Is this
was.
your second book?
It's my second published book. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, the first one, I had a lot of publishing problems with it, so it really didn't make any waves. This one sold 4,000 copies already, so
Great. Wonderful.
it's doing pretty well. Um,
And the name of it is?
the Retirement Money Secrets.
Hmm.
It says it's a financial insider's guide to income independence. Is its subtitle. And the tagline on the top of it is interesting because we kind of touched on it. It's called um, "Market Value Fuels the Ego, Income Fuels the Yacht." In other words, you can't go to the store and buy that car on the floor and say, "I got a portfolio here that's worth all this money. I want to buy that car," and they'll say, "No, no, no. We want money. We want real paper,
Yeah.
and you need income to do that." So that's the distinction it's making.
Yeah.
So, so
Now I told our audience when we started that you had all these initials after your name, and
oh,
I'm not sure what they stand for. So I'm going to get you to elaborate on that as well.
okay. The RIA is a registered investment advisor.
Mm.
When in order to be in order to manage other people's money, you have to work through a firm, a company that has its own registrations as a broker dealer and something like that. And you have to take tests to register with the SEC because they oversee everything you do, everything you say, they cross every T
Mm.
and dot
Mm.
every I, and they're literally, almost literally, sitting on your shoulders throughout your career. That's uh, the the
All right.
RIA,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, registered investment advisor. The IAR is a little different. That's when um, you wake up and you say, "Wait a minute, I don't want to be directly responsible to the SEC. I'd rather have somebody else do that." And you no longer you start working for some other RIA as an investment advisor representative. That's what an IAR is.
I
So
see.
I spent about half my career, maybe a little more than half, as an RIA, and then I switched over to being an IAR, and that was a much easier life.
Wonderful. So what will I learn when I read your book, Retirement Money Secrets?
Ah, you will learn what to look for in your existing portfolio. You'll look inside and you'll say, uh, these securities, how much money are they producing for me? How much income am I getting each year that I could spend if I wanted to? And how much is that net after my fees that I'm paying to be managed or any other costs associated with that? So that's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to get out there and you're going to, I'm by asking you to do that, I'm probably get you a little bit angry when you see how little it is that you're earning. And then the next thing you're going to learn is how to convert from that type of security portfolio, from that type of structure, to a security that's actually a trust vehicle, and it's a trust that invests in the same securities that you probably already own. But its designs, its legal requirements are that it has to pass through to its shareholders 95% of its net income. So it's not going to grow in market value. Its purpose isn't to get big numbers behind its name. Oh, it's now $100 stock and then it's a $200 stock. I own 200 of these, and the biggest price of any of them is about $44. And the average price is only around $14 or $15. But they contain every possible security you can imagine, every sector, every type, everything, and they pay in income right now in the 9% or 10% range. So it's really a whole different ball game than what most people are used to. When you see that on your statement every month, and most firms like Fidelity and so on, they'll give you this chart and it tells you what your projected income is for the ensuing 12 months. And all of a sudden you see some pretty big numbers there. Instead of the puny little 2%, you start seeing 9 and 10%. And income independence. It's going to teach you what you have to do, who you have to talk to, types of securities you want to discover and investigate, and then you can start making plans for those trips you want to take.
Good. All righty. So, how should retired income focused investors gauge portfolio performance?
Well, what I think they should do, it's really a mindset change when you start thinking about income instead of market value. And most people will have to learn how to do that. And when they do, what they're going to want to see, particularly in an inflationary environment like we've had recently, where that income, even if it just stays the same, you're losing ground, right? So you want to have enough income and enough growth in income so it keeps pace with that inflation. So you want to see that income growing every quarter. So every March, June, September, you're going to look at that chart in your statement that says this is your projected income for the next 12 months. And you're going to want to see that going up every quarter. If it goes up every quarter, that means you're making enough income that you don't have to spend it all, and you're reinvesting it to grow more income, and or you're taking profits that you're reinvesting to grow more income. So you want that number to grow every quarter and of course every year. And then the other number you want to look at is a number that I call working capital. Let's say, and it's very simply, let's say you have $100,000, you inherited 100 grand, and you put it with a broker and you invest that 100,000. Your working capital is 100,000. If it goes up market value, okay, the market value change doesn't do anything unless you take those profits. Let's say you take the income that you've gained and you take the profits, they become additions to working capital. So in a year, if you're making 5%, that's 105, and you take the 20,000 you made in profits, that's 125. Now you've got 125 in working capital. Okay, and it's a simple illustration. It's not all that easy to do that, what I just said, but it gives you an idea that the more profits and income you have that you reinvest to grow income, the more the income will grow and the more the working capital will grow. And that's what particularly retired investors, people getting close to retirement, they need to look at income because that's what they're depending on to maintain their lifestyle.
You said once that managing a portfolio is like running a department store or a shopping center. What did you mean by that?
Oh, well, that one, I guess we've got to back up a little bit. I, when I was describing my portfolio, I own, let's say, 200 of these closed-end funds we talked about,
Hmm.
and they'll be diversified to the extent that every, just like a major department store that has every conceivable product you could want when you go into that store, or that shopping center where they also have uh, a Lowe's or a Home Depot and a Walmart. So anything you could possibly need, they have pharmacies and stuff, would be there, so that um, whatever happens in the marketplace, you're going to you're going to have what the people want, and you're going to set a target price on your merchandise. Somebody comes in and they pay your 5% markup. You don't sit there and say, nah, the market's rising and the price of that's going up. I'm not going to sell it to you today. I'm going to wait until it gets higher. You set a standard profit taking target. And when you can sell it at that price, you sell it just like you would if it was a lawnmower, something like that. And then you go to your supplier, you get another lawnmower, you put it on your shelf and you do it again. It's exactly the same way that I run my investment portfolio. I don't like any one security more than I like any other. I mean, I have statistics that tell me I'm selling more jeans than I am lawnmowers, so, I expect that one to turn over faster, but I'm selling everything. I'm not there growing the market value of my inventory. I'm there increasing the profits to my bottom line. And that's
That
how I
makes
grow. And that's
that
how I
makes
grow more
sense to
income.
me. I think that sounds like the better way to go.
Well, I
I like
certainly
profit.
think so. Yeah, profits are the thing. And it's funny that nowhere else, the stock market contains hundreds, maybe thousands of companies whose objectives are just what I said, to take profits, to produce, either services or something that they can sell for a profit. And then the very people who are investing in those companies are being advised, just sit there and hold them. It's counterintuitive, isn't it?
Hmm.
That they wouldn't say, there, you buy this company, it goes up in price. Now you sell it, you take your profit, and then later on, you go back and buy it again and do it again. That's the way I look at things.
Makes sense to me. So, what's wrong with the 4% annual withdrawal rule for retirement portfolios?
It's not the 4% rule. Um, that's wrong. It can work, but it works by depleting the principal. It's the objective is to say, in the last month of your life, when you take that last part of that 4% from your portfolio, that's it. The portfolio's gone the same time you are. It's like an annuity type thing where it pays out until the end, and then that's it. There's nothing left for anybody else. Okay. So 4%, you're kind of stuck with that 4%. If you want to go on a vacation, I mean, these days, just the airfare is going to be 4%. You know what I mean? So instead of producing income of more than 4%, most investment um, advisors or investment firms are trying to grow the market value by 4%. Okay. And then they have their fees, of course. So, what do you have a year where the market doesn't go up 4%? Then not only are you selling things in a loss and dipping into principal, you're making even less money income is coming in. Why aren't they focused on producing? And they very easily can produce more than 4% with things like REITs and um, business development corps and closed-end funds that pay 9 and 10%. There are ETFs that pay that kind of income also. There are even some mutual funds that pay over that amount. The only thing, and the thing normal people invest in most, common stocks, they are the only security that you rarely can get a whole lot more than 4% on. So why is the focus there instead of on the securities that generate more income, particularly for people in retirement? That's the question. And the answer, they don't want to hear the answer. They can't handle the truth.
Wow. Okay. So, Steve,
Yeah.
if someone would like to get in touch with you, if they have questions for you, how can someone contact you?
Um, well, the best way is through the book, and all my contact information's in there. My websites are in there. My phone numbers, email addresses, and so on
And
are in
and
there.
the book is available on Amazon, is it?
Oh yeah, for Amazon for sure, and all the other places you can think of. If you like to go to Barnes and Noble or get your ebooks through Draft to Digital or something like that, it's all there. And there's an audiobook as well.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think you should tell people about their money and their investing?
I think there's only two things, so we've covered a lot. Two thoughts. One is a mindset thought, and that's the idea of getting yourself to focus on income instead of just on market value. Because in the long run, if you're making enough income, more than you're spending, and you're reinvesting it, your market value is going to grow. In addition to the working capital and the income, the market value is going to go up when the markets go up or when interest rates go down, when those things happen. So that's the one thing. The focus on income is a big one. That's a big one. The other one is the realization that the markets themselves aren't they're cyclical. They're not up only or down only. They're going like this. Volatility is their natural state of being. It's not something to be feared. It's something to be taken advantage of, you know. And that's the other thing. They need to recognize that it is a market cycle. In spite of all the hype, it's you can make just as much money and be just as well benefited when the market goes down as when it goes up. You just have to know what to do to take advantage of those areas of the market cycle. So those are the two other things that the book covers that that people will learn about or
Well,
learn. They'll start to think about that.
yes, this certainly has been educational. Recently I had a young college student interview me, and she said, as an older person, what would you tell a young person that they should do to prepare for when they get to be your age? And one of the things I mentioned was I think young people should learn about money. I believe that so many of us weren't taught about money when we were younger, and we've had to learn about it the hard way. And would you agree that that's one of the best things?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think I'd have ever been launched in this direction um, if I were just depending on the schooling, particularly the public schooling in my youth. In that time, I was fortunate. I came from a family of a successful real estate developer and contractor who had made a mark and who emphasized the importance of having different streams of income, and developing those streams of income so that you had a business that, let's say it was bad for selling real estate, you still had your rents coming in.
Yes.
You had taken back mortgages on the building, so you still had interest coming in even if you couldn't sell a new property. So he taught that to me. So that's the same way that I've developed my theme, is that you've got these two streams of income to develop, and you got to take advantage of both of them. The profit taking, it's not always there. you know the distribution income is there, but the profit taking is so important to take advantage of that upward cycle and increase your base of capital to grow that income even further. It's yeah. So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Teach people about money is the best thing you can do for them.
I sincerely think so. Thank you for being here with us today. You've certainly given me a lot to think about, and I know that my viewers are out there going, "Wow, I got to get the book," and learn more about how to do this the right way so that I can have profits.
Yeah.
So thank you. This has been great to have you here. I hope we can have you come back again sometime soon.
Well, I'd like to do that. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us today. I hope that today gave you some insights into some of the things that you can do to protect your money and protect yourself in your retirement. So thank you for being here with us.